Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Happy 2025. We made it, and we didn't get invaded by aliens yet, so that's always a plus. So go ahead and leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. This is the perfect way to help out the channel. But if you're looking for another way, go ahead and check out the link in the description for the Buy Me a Coffee. You can make a one-time donation, or you can join the membership for $3 a month and support my efforts here, as this is a viewer-funded channel and YouTube is not monetizing us. So real quick before we get into it, guys, we are dropping the merch for now. I need to find a new supplier, so for now the Etsy store is closed, and anyone who has already purchased something, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are all the proud owners of some one-of-a-kind merchandise, collector's items. But if that changes in the future, don't worry, I'll let you know. But for now, the only way to support the channel is through Buy Me a Coffee, link in the description. But with all that out of the way, let's see what we got today. We are live.
Many people call me a liar when I say the giants have existed on this earth for thousands of years. And today I show you the proof, one of many proofs. These are just but a few articles from all around the United States and many other countries where giant skeletons of humans were dug up. And not just dug up, but found with weapons and rifles in brick buildings. Of course, they called these mounds. Some of the skeletons were 12 feet tall, some were 24 feet, some were even 36 feet tall. Of course, that sounds crazy, but if you start to read into this whole story, you'll see that all these skeletons were taken by different institutes, namely the Smithsonian Institute, and they've been hidden, and we're the ones called the conspiracy theorists. But as you look here, that's not true.
Well, let's get
Remember
into
I talked
it.
about the giants of South America? The Aztecs talked about, before the Aztecs were there, giants roamed the land. These giants were created by a god, but they opposed another god. There's 3 times this god tried to kill all the giants. One of the first times that he tried to kill them was by sending fire from the sky. It killed almost everything, but a few giants survived. And then they say that this god ended up flooding the whole earth to kill these giants. There was one giant, he survived with his siblings. What they did right after that flood was they're like, we're going to build a giant pyramid, so if it ever floods again, we can escape it. And so this pyramid that they built was called the Great Pyramid of Cholula, the largest pyramid on earth volume-wise. They say it's one of 6 pyramids that were built on top of each other. We're talking a massive Tower of Babel-like thing. Tower of Babel happened after the flood, and these giants built this pyramid to escape the flood after the flood.
That's an interesting theory. I dig that, dude. That's fun.
Well, and it brings credibility to multiple resets, especially the scorched
fact
earth.
that you can find the remnants of the giants of this realm in nearly every civilization, from pictures, paintings, weapons, even depictions of them in Egypt building the pyramids. Yet that is not enough for the many still plugged into the system. This is the globalist system, ran by the parasites that have rewritten our history, hidden the true nature and properties of this realm for profit and control. Because one thing people always ask me, well, what's the point of lying about giants? What's the point about lying about the mud flood? It's not any one thing particularly, yet it's a link in a much larger chain of events. It's not a joke or some catchphrase when we say they've lied to us about everything. Because of people unaware of their true past, their true origins, their true capabilities, are all that much easier to manipulate and control. And you see it still today in the media, all about manipulation and control. In politics, all about manipulation and control. It's all one big giant system. And one of the best things you can do to break out of that system is to question everything, friends. Until next time.
Now, I find once you do, it's hard to stop.
I tried to tell you that the Inca ruins was originally built by giants, and you didn't believe me. But when I say I got your ass, Oh, I've got your ass. So first, let's look at these giant-sized bricks. No normal human would even attempt to pull this off. Some of these bricks weigh over 100 ton. Only a giant would have the strength to move something like that. And these bricks were quarried 5 miles away. How do you think they moved it? And for all the people that say it was moved with trees and rope, I've got some bad news. Only small-sized trees used to grow in that part of Peru, meaning they would have snapped on impact. And what about these giant-sized doors? Do they even look like they've been built for regular-sized people? And of course, the giant stairs. Some people believe that they're the same as these ones found in Peru, that they're in fact not giant stairs, but they've been built for farming. I've got 3 words for you. Come on, brother. They're not even the same thing. That one's got grass and this one's concrete. What are you trying to say? That they was farming on concrete? Are you dizzy, bruv?
I don't know if they were always solid concrete though, but the staircase
It
on the
wasn't
side...
just giants in the land of Peru. There was an ancient village built. A very, very tiny one. Take a look at this video and let me know what you think.
Espectacular. Hermoso lugar.
Esta arquitectura no se ve en ninguna parte de Perú, según científicos del mundo.
Y las rocas son perfectas, son hermosas, ¿no? Miren,
Si tú mides
lajas. Mejor que lajas.
con esto,
Ya.
tal cual.
Todo es
Todo
exacto.
preciso.
Pero el nivel de detalle y de minuciosidad a este nivel es espectacular. Wow. Miren el tamaño de mi mano. Este acá son ductos, ¿no, Babi?
Ductos que conectan, mira. De aquí a aquí y atraviesa todo. Así.
Probablemente también para poder darle de alguna manera una oxigenación, probablemente, ¿no? Wow, miren. Todos se conectan. Esperen, es un sinfín. Babi, ¿podrías meter tu mano, por favor, en el último? Miren, ahí está. Increíble. Excelente.
Okay, so I'm a little bit of an old book whore. And because I am a firm believer in timeline deception, I actively seek out books that are older than the 1900s. Now, in my opinion, I think we've been indoctrinated since the mid-1800s. So I have a really, really hard time trying to find any books that are older than 1850. So anytime I go to a bookstore, there's a used bookstore here in my town, and I will sit there for at least an hour and look through every single old book, and they constantly get new ones every week. But I came across this one, and original copyright is in 1877, so that's about as close to 1850 as I have been able to get in a really long time. I spent like 3, maybe 4 hours yesterday just going through this book and reading this encyclopedia of just a plethora of knowledge from the late 1800s. Last night I read things about giants that were found and how they were buried and how much the bones weighed. They weighed like 300 pounds. I also read that elephants lived to be 400 years old and swans were living to 200 years old. Because it is a encyclopedia of wit and wisdom, there is also some hilarious jokes and short stories and poetical. This is just the most fascinating book I have ever put my hands on. There's information in here about Egyptian things that were found on the Colorado River in the Grand Canyon, and different findings of like these people who launched a rock off a hill and it opened up a cavern in this mountain in Utah, and it was like ancient site with mummies and like statues of every single kind of animal. And these are all collections of journals and things that people of huge historical notes and wealth have talked about and shared. So I'm going to start this TikTok channel and dedicate it to the information that I uncover in this book. And I hope your mind is as blown as I am, because this is the most incredible find I've ever had in my life, and I can't find anything about this book. So follow along, enjoy the journey.
Well, count me in. I'm very intrigued to see what kind of stuff is in there, particularly about
There's only so
Grand
long that you
Canyon.
can hide the truth before it comes out. They've just found remains that would have belonged to ancient giants, 7 meters or 22 feet high. The small Ecuadorian village of Changamania holds a secret yet unexplained by scientists in the world, and it has to do with an ancient race of men that outperformed in height and their current average. The finding of giant men in Ecuador has been going on for years. The history of their ancestors is based on documented facts, myths, and even some falsehoods that seem to add another tint to the narrative. One of them took place in Ecuador, where some archaeologists and residents of a small town called Changamania say giant human bones have been recovered. One of the people who would have preserved these bones was the priest Carlos Miguel Vaca Alvadero, born in 1912 in the Ecuadorian city of Loja. The bones, which were in his possession until his death in 1999, were found in a small town called Changamania, located 75 kilometers from Quito. I know this might be hard for some of you to believe, but I'm trying to tell you, giants was real.
There's certainly a case that
The
can be
eyes of
made.
that species of extinct giant, whose bones fill the mounds of America, have gazed on Niagara as our eyes do now. That was a quote by President Abraham Lincoln at a campaign speech in Niagara Falls. And they tell us these guns were for duck hunting. And sure, some were, but were they all? This looks like a big pile of duck hunting guns. I mean, soldiers love collecting very old duck hunting guns, right? Or I guess these cannons. These cannons must have been used for duck hunting as well. Or I think more likely, looking at all the evidence that we can find, a giant omission has been left out of our history books. All you have to do is dig past the surface of the lies that we have been taught, and you will find a giant amount of evidence that shows from the beginning of humanity. We have written documentation, remains, and artifacts showing that we walked this realm side by side with a much larger people to manipulate the masses, to deceive us about our creator, our origins, our true history. It's just a few key reasons for the lies, because the people unaware of their true history, of their true past, are all that much more easier to control. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
So you still don't believe that giants existed? Okay. Let me ask you a question. Who do these books belong to? So there was this castle in Prague, and in the 1940s it was renovated. And deep down in the lower basement underground, guess what they found? A giant library. Oh my days. Nobody even knew it was there. Now why would somebody create a giant library and bury it underground? I'm talking about books so big, you can sit on them. Oh my diddy. So if giants didn't exist, why make the book so big?
Oh my diddy.
This world of ours was not always just ours. We once walked side by side, hand in hand, with a much larger version of us. The giants have been documented, depicted, photographed the world over. The ones you see in these photos were just the last versions of them. As giant as they truly were to us, they were much smaller compared to their ancestors. But we are told giants never existed, that thousands of years of human history, thousands of years of depictions of them, are just works of fiction the world over. Fun fact about the works of fiction, that too is a recent invention by the parasites of this realm. Works of fictions, the novels of fiction, wasn't really a thing until the late 1800s, another invention out of the Industrial Revolution. Why would our ancestors need to write works of fiction? They had so much of this world to depict, and that is exactly what they did. It wasn't until the more recent times when they told us to dismiss it all as fiction. Just like George Orwell told us, the party, or in this case the parasites, told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. I personally think many of the giants were taken out after the last reset. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, as they say. And humanity, being the resourceful, opportunistic people they are, took the opportunity of the reset to get some of that founded Freemasonry for themselves. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
Those of you that follow me will know that I split my time between Italy and the UK. Now, from Sicily, it's an hour flight to Rome. I caught the flight and I went to check out the Vatican. Beautiful building, great architecture, lots of hidden secrets and sacred geometry. Now, people look like specks of rice compared to this building. That's how big it is. Now, look at this giant door here. This is what this video is about. What is the purpose of doors? The purpose of a door is to let you through and to keep people out. Now, look at the size of the archways and the doors, and look at the size of the people. Now, pay attention to where the handles should be on the doors. You've got one very low for normal sized humans like us, and there were previously ones for giants. Now, the symbolism on the floor is seashells and stars, the 8-pointed star, and I'll make a video on that later. Now look at the bolt on the top of this door. Look at how small this guy is. Now, as he closes the door, you will see at the very top, there's a bolt. Like, you know, when we have bolts on our door, we slide the top one, we do the middle one, and then we maybe key it. Why would it be up there if you can't reach it? Now, it can only mean that these giant structures and giant doors were built for giant people. Now, I've touched on this with Tartaria, and you had different sizes of giants, just like you have different sizes of people today, ranging from 4 foot to 7 feet. Now, these other doors are around the Vatican and buildings around the Vatican. And look at where the handle is on the door. Now, this door here has been cut to make space for a normal sized human. But in reality, this door is double the size of a normal human. And you can see the holes there. Look at the holes in the middle where the handles used to be. They have been removed and they've been put lower for normal sized humans, which come up to about the breast or the belly button. This is called the Pantheon in Rome. Great tourist site. You'll see me on the next picture there with my hat, and I'm pointing up at where the handles used to be. Now, you know, these giant doors, megalithic structures all over Rome. It's littered with these, with giant columns, big stones, and big doors for big people. And look at this. The handles are above the guy's head. And this was funny because he opened the smaller door, which they cut. They cut to make this the size for smaller people. And he walks in. That made me laugh. And I caught this live in Rome. So you can have a look at the style of the building. This building is a Tartaria style building with a Phoenician fascia over it. Now, I will make more videos on Tartaria and Phoenicia and explain to you what's going on here with the lion heads and the columns and the triangles above it. But this is a church not too far from the Vatican, a smaller one. As you can see, just above it there's a sign, and the sign has been painted on with the name, but it's very primitive looking. You can tell we today are inheritors of this structure, and we have and look, you can see where the handles are. We've just kind of claimed it and repurposed this building and claimed it as a church. But look how big the handles are, and look at where they're positioned on the door.
I'm yet to hear an explanation to justify all this.
Signs of a past that we shared with a much larger being can be found everywhere. Check out this video of one such footprint, called the Footprint of God, located in South Africa. The narrative of history is nothing more than a set of lies agreed upon.
The Footprint of God here near Mphaluzi in South Africa, very close to the Swaziland border. Now this is one of the greatest examples of an ancient footprint, a giant footprint about 4 feet high in rough granite. It's between 200 million and 3 billion years old. That's what geologists will tell you. Oh wow. This is just beautiful. Look at this. There's the, you know, when you, there's the big toe and the other 4 toes down to the small toe, down to the heel. What's fascinating about this is anybody that does a study of this will notice this piece sticking out here. It's like when you put your foot in mud and you pull it out, your toes will lift up a little mud where your toes were, and it's exactly what seems to have happened here. This rough granite is just, it's pulled up. This overhang here, it's spectacular. And I see that people have been visiting here because they've been leaving little coins here, which is wonderful. More close up. Okay, well, I don't know who else has filmed this, but I think we'll put this up for everybody to see, for everyone to really appreciate this. Is a spectacular bit of human history. There were giants on Earth.
My only question is why it's on the wall and not the ground.
What would the world be like if giants were still around? And this is something that I want you to understand. There was a time on Earth when giants and smaller sized humans used to live as one. And because of the false history that we've been taught and religion, we've always viewed giants as savages or barbarians, when in reality, they was just as, if not more sophisticated than smaller sized humans. They came in all creeds and colors, not just Caucasian giants, but black giants too. Oh my diddy. Who remembers the Shield brothers from Texas? Every one of them was over 7 foot tall. I would love to be one of those brothers. And for the people who still don't believe that giants exist, this femur bone is still being displayed in a museum. And they say it belonged to a giant 14 to 16 feet tall. Oh my days. And for all the people wondering, why would they lie? Why would they remove this from history? Remember, knowledge is power, and he who holds the knowledge holds the power.
Yeah, I think they just want us to think that we're insignificant.
So I see a
and everything
giant
about
axe
us.
in a giant tree stump, and I think it must have been a giant who cut it. But I stand corrected. These giant trunks were actually left by angels, and they actually used axe to cut them. And you can find clues in Daniel, in Isaiah. Look at that, with an axe. Wow. What? This is why I love this community. I did not know that. Now, listen, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, apparently this brother had said that the reason being is because the giants could have climbed these trees and escaped the flood. So the angels came down, and they left a clue for us. Yeah, angels came down, used axes, and cut down giant trees. And then we have this.
Thoughts in the comments.
Oh, it's all coming out now. I'm telling you, it's all coming out now. They found a giant mummified finger in Egypt in 1988. Oh my days. And for all those skeptics out there that are wondering if this is real, they managed to verify this one with an x-ray. The hand of a mummy with a 15-inch finger would be this size. The actual hand most likely weighs more than 175 pounds. If a person this size once existed, then it becomes easy to understand how the pyramids was built. So when I say I got your ass, oh, I've got your ass.
Just take a moment to think about it. A massive, realm-wide event, like the Great Flood, the Flood of Noah, depicted in so many religions, so many ancient civilizations. Perhaps it happened with next to no notice, no warning. And then a wall of water comes, flooding the earth, burying them and preserving them at the bottom of the muddy water's depths. And then, once the water level started to recede, all that mud and soot that was once underneath the water hardens into stone. And generations later, the landscape captures that moment in time like a photograph. What would you do if you only had moments' notice, mere seconds to react, as all around you changes in a moment? Would you look on with fear and disbelief? Would you get on your knees and start praying? Or would you take that moment, as I and many others would do, to hold your loved ones tight and tell them you love them one more time and embrace for the inevitable? Question everything, friends. Until next time.
Have you ever wondered where all the giants have gone? They used to be everywhere, walking this earth. But now, you don't see them. Remember, there was a time where everything grew big due to the amount of oxygen that the giant trees used to produce. But as you know, they chopped them all down. And anybody still capable of growing big gets labeled with having a disease. They call it Giantism. They get prescribed medicine, more like poison, which stumps their growth. And I always find it funny that they could tell you what dinosaurs was eating and what they looked like 5 million years ago. But like, was you even there though, bruv? And some of you may not be aware, but any so-called dinosaur bones that they do find, they only find pieces. Most of that skeleton, what you see there, are reconstructed, fake bones. But anytime they do find any real giant bones, Smithsonian comes in and destroys them. But in the 1600s, the Spanish did capture a two-headed giant, and that is still on display. But like most facts of history, they still don't teach you the truth.
Well,
here's even more evidence of the existence of giant humans in human antiquity. You'll find them in sculptures. You see this guy, he's 11 feet tall. You'll find him in Babylon, Egypt, the Mayans, and I don't know if you know this or not, but St. Christopher, he was a giant.
These are the last of those giants that once walked this realm with us. And make no mistake, they were once much larger than this. And as you'll see here with the next giant measuring up over 9 foot, these are not your standard NBA players.
Biggest boot I ever sold a guy was a custom-made
Giants.
size
I want to
16.
talk to you about
It was
giants.
huge.
Whoa!
Have you heard of Lovelock, Nevada?
No.
They found a cave called the Lovelock Cave. They went in there. They came across many skeleton remains. The majority of them were giant skeletons with red hair.
Weird.
These skulls, they were in a museum for a while, but
How
as
big
of
are these skulls? Like,
they said, like from 7 to 9 feet tall. These skeletons were.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like these skulls were like double that of our skulls. This is where it gets crazy. The Paiute people, it was the granddaughter of the chief, wrote a book. And in this book, she talks about the Paiute people for years and years were at war with the giant people. And these giant people lived in the mountains in Nevada. And they had long red hair and they were cannibals. Like, they would come and kill the Paiutes and then bring them up to the mountains and eat them. And so they're at constant war with these giant people, the Paiute people.
Yeah.
They started winning, and it was brought down to, like, I guess it would be 45 remaining giants or whatever, who the Paiute people chased into a cave. The Paiute people put brush and stuff at the cave entrance and lit it on fire. And this cave where they found these giant skeletons had just scorch marks all over the entrance of the cave. And so they killed the giants. And one of the dresses that this granddaughter of the chief wore had red woven into her dress, and she said this was the hair of one of the giants.
oh my goodness.
Allegedly. Guess we gotta go a little deeper on
They
this
say that that cave goes all the way to Emily.
No, really? Way.
Well, nobody's ever climbed all the way, but there's another great big cave up by Emily that comes back this way. So that's the legend.
That's the legend. So I asked you just a moment ago, because we had this long talk. You lived here for years. 91 years old, God bless you. I said, do you believe the red-haired giant story of Lovelock Caves? And you're going to
Yes.
give me the answer.
Yes, I do. If you talk to BLM, they'll tell you it's a bunch of hokum. There was no red-headed Indians. If you talk to my Native American friends here in Lovelock, they will tell you their parents told about the Native Americans. They were cannibals. They came up from Death Valley, marked the trails, and dug holes in the trails, and then covered them up so the natives would fall in them, and then they would eat them. And then the cave they lived in the cave for a while and buried their people in the cave. They found a lot of mummies that had red hair and were over 7 feet tall. They were very tall.
Wow.
They found the mummies there, but if you go in the cave is all smoky inside. And my Indian friends say that they got tired of them killing their people, so they chased them into the cave, then built a big fire in front of that cave. Now the opening has been made a lot bigger. It was a lot smaller. When my folks first came here in 1945, the opening was much smaller, but they've made it.
Oh, even then it was smaller, right?
Well, so they opened it up, and they built a fire and smoked the Indians and killed them and buried them in the cave.
And,
I met, while I was working here at the museum, some people came from southern Utah that had been working on the highway between Nevada and Utah, and said they came into a big burial ground, and there were red-headed Indians in that burial ground, and the Indians, and anyway, they didn't tell anybody. They just put them back in the ground and left them. But they're still there, so there's been another people that have found them. The Indians are buried squatting down. The feet first, then down, and just their heads closest to the top of the ground.
Wow.
Did that make sense?
Yeah.
And my folks have a ranch down in Lower Valley, and sometimes they saw the top of they would hear this whistling sound, and it was the wind blowing through the skulls, because the wind had blown away the dirt.
The top.
So they were hearing those sounds. They found, my folks were plowing the field, and they found a big burial ground, and called the BLM to come down and find whatever they needed to do. And they sent a lady. She came down, took what she wanted through the westway and left.
Yep, never hear her again.
Never heard her again. They found some more burial. They had a ranch out at Upper Dixie Valley, and they found some more Indian stuff there, but not much.
Wow. Now, this is the legend that I heard that, you know, how Indians go howl. You know why? Because the giants have 6-digit fingers and feet.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
And they go how so that they could look, I have 5 fingers. Yeah, that's what I heard.
No, I didn't
you hear
know
that.
that.
Okay.
No,
and you know, because you've been here since 45. And do you want to state your name for the video? Or
my name is Devoy Monk. I've lived here since 1945. I have a cousin that married a Paiute Indian lady.
And those are the ones that were smoked out the giants, right?
No.
Oh, that wasn't the Paiutes.
The Paiutes were, yes.
Right.
Paiutes are from Lovelock.
Right.
And she had dark brown hair. She went to Hawaii for 2 weeks, or a week. When she came back, she had the reddest hair you've ever seen.
Wow.
So that red hair could be, they might have had natural red hair, or they might have been the elements that changed the red hair.
Oh, right. Yeah. Interesting. Well, fantastic. Really a chance meeting we had here in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's wild. There's even the Kandahar giants of Afghanistan that are said to be cannibals and have red hair. I didn't have enough time to put it all in here as we're already reaching the 35-minute like today, but more on giants in the future, obviously, but I've been waiting to do this one. So I hope you guys liked it. I hope there was some good stuff in there. I want to know what you guys think in the comments. As always, none of this is legit. This is all for entertainment purposes only, as you know how the drill goes. But yeah, that's all I got for today though, guys. Also, don't forget to check out my new channel, 80 After Dark. A lot of you guys still haven't subscribed yet. We need to hit 1,000 subscribers in order for me to monetize that channel. So we got about 900 more to go. So there's enough of you, so let's get on over there. That would be awesome. Also, leave a like on the new video, and I'll try to get another one up this week. But yeah, I guess I'll see you again in the next one, guys. Till then, 80 Canadian, signing off.